I know, I'm very aware. You know, RJ, you only post 2 videos a year. One of them you post at the end of the year, on the last day of the year, and the other one you may or may not post during the summer. It's okay. This is a video, it's gonna be all about my car. On March 2nd of 2021, I purchased my first car. Here we are, I own a 2016 Volkswagen Jetta TSI. Very nice car, absolutely love it. I bought it at 44,310 miles. So the car ended up costing me in total about $12,300. But then you have all kinds of other things that go into that. So that's the whole point of this video. I want to talk about what a year's worth of owning a car is like from someone who's only owned a car for 1 year of his adult life. Because I don't think many people think through what that actually means. And so I've been filling out this chart, this bit of information to an Excel document for a year now. And so we're gonna take a look at it. This is my findings as a result of that. Let's take a look at some of the data I've inputted, how I've manipulated it. We'll talk about cost of owning a car and we'll look at some charts. So up here, as you can see, when I first purchased a car, as I've said before, it was at 44,310 miles. A full year later, so this is like halfway through the day on March 2nd, 2022, it was 65,498 miles. That means that in a year of owning the vehicle, I put 21,188 miles on the car. I think the American average for miles in a year is like 13 to 15,000 miles. This column here, what it does is it takes the current month, subtracts it by the previous month, and that gives you the difference. 2,658 miles. Now, why was that? In March, I went out to visit Nate Petrowski with Julia and Lem. So that's why this is about 1,000-ish miles more than other months. You can see it drops back down again for April, back down again for May. Now, why is June so big? Let's take a look at that. June is quite the spike up there. June was when I drove down to North Carolina with Julia and her friends. I feel like July could have been a busier month. I drove all the way to the far side of Western New York State then. I drove to New York City then, but apparently I just must not have done a lot of other driving in that time period. I don't think it's really reflected in these charts, but Julia moved in July from about 88 miles away to 172 miles away now. If you take a look at the miles per month and the gas per month, there is kind of a correlation between the two. You can kind of tell how efficient I was driving as well. Another thing to note, the price per gallon rise I would think would be more notable in the charts, but they're not very. And my guess as to why this is because I don't really buy gas in Pennsylvania. I buy gas in either Delaware or Maryland because it's less expensive. Let's go over to spending and take a look at what that looks like. As you can see from the very beginning, $12,318.99. That was the cost of the car as I was pulling off the lot. Now, immediately following that, $973.44 in car insurance. Later on in October, I spent another $1,049 on car insurance. So my premium went up, which is pretty illegitimate considering that I have been over a year now without any kind of incidents, tickets, accidents whatsoever. That's why March is so expensive. It includes the cost of insurance, as well as these are kind of the startup costs for my car. I bought a dash cam. There's a first aid kit in the back. Basically all the necessities to make my Eagle Scout Be Preparedness feel safe in my vehicle. This is the gas. This was back when gas was like $2.82. The Jetta has like a 14-gallon tank, so keep that in mind when you're looking at some of these gas prices. All right, so April, pretty normal. There's no extra expenses there. May, also same, no extra expenses there. Let's talk about June. This $162.88 is the cost of bringing my car in for repair. The warranty covers anything within the first 2 years or 20,000 miles. Now, as we already kind of talked about, total miles in my first year. So I like slam dunked through that warranty before my first year of owning the car. I only had to pay for things that were over $200. So this $162.88, I think there was about like $300 or $400 that was covered on my warranty as a result. I only had to pay the service fees. This $41.34, Easy Pass. I started using Easy Pass. So this is the cost of the initial registration, the cost of the device, as well as the $35 that it goes to pay for any transactions that you use with the device. So this was not a normal month for gas. These are all pretty high numbers. There's not as many transactions as March, but if you go over to the gas per month chart, you can see plenty of gas spent in June. We spent a total of $378 on gas in June, so that was quite an expensive month. All right, let's take a look at July. $632.88. What is that for, RJ? The warranty does not cover replacement of tires. I blew out my back right tire in the middle of Randomsville, Pennsylvania on my way back from New York City at like 2 a.m. I was coming home from a wedding, so I was in my nice shirt and my nice pants, and I was having to do this tire on the side of the road. You can see it completely burst a hole in the tire there and ripped the whole edge all the way around. It's like laying flat against the ground. I did my own tire. Well, I'm doing my own tire, but I guess this is the hardest part, is getting it off. I did it all by myself. It all worked out in the end, but that's what this is the cost of. I had to pay a Ford dealership $600 for new tires. I bought 4. They're great tires. I'm very happy with them. The $54 is for Easy Pass transactions. New York City costs a lot of money to drive into. Don't drive into New York City. Gas for July, overall low, considering I drove all over the place. Well, I made sure to triple check these numbers, but I did only buy gas 4 times. August, pretty low month. Nothing really fancy about August, although we do see a spike in miles per month. Let's go over to September. September, you can see I filled up my Easy Pass twice with those transactions there. September was a really low month. I did not travel that much in September. Pretty low month. This chart does not calculate any times that Julia may have bought me a tank of gas, which has happened a couple of times. I'm guessing that happened in September. October. October is another awful month because I owe car insurance money for no good reason. So that's the $1,049. As you can see, October was the most expensive month of my year in terms of owning this car. Biggest reason was car insurance. Have I used the car insurance? No, I haven't. $291. I had issues with my power windows. The warranty covered the product itself, so it was about like $250 or something like that. I owed for the service and service fees, which totaled that much. October, very expensive month, very expensive month, very stupid month. Don't buy car insurance. I don't know what's going on with November. I bought gas 3 times. That's it. It was also a really low month in terms of mileage. You could see besides September. December, you can see $35 for transactions with the Easy Pass at $86.40. I don't know what took them so long, but that is the cost of my license plate. I have a custom vanity plate that says do more. I applied for this ages ago and I got it ages ago, but the money didn't move until December, so there it is listed in December. Gas, it was a fairly normal gas month, but it could have actually been a lower gas month in terms of how much gas I bought, because that was about the time where gas prices started to get pretty bad. January, no other expenses. February, no other expenses as well. Gas is pretty normal. So that gives us a grand total of $1,899.27 spent on gasoline this past year. Now, if we take the cost of gas and divide it by mile, this gives us how much gas I spend per mile, and that's about 9 cents. So every mile that I put on my car is about 9 cents worth of gasoline. That is, of course, based on this past year's current amount. So think about that when you put your car in drive, you might be dropping about 10 cents a mile. And that number could be going up as a result of gas prices going up. But that's 9 cents per mile. Now there's this other magical number, which is the grand total of money that I spent this year minus the cost of the car. Because that number is going to be more accurate for next year as well, because I'm not going to keep paying for a car over and over again. So what we do is we take my grand total, which is that $19,000 number, we subtract the cost of the car, the $12,000 number, and we end up with $7,072.49. You could be spending $6 to $8 grand on your vehicle each year, not including the cost of the vehicle. Big key number to remember is I spent almost $20,000 on a vehicle this year. Everybody in my life has been telling me, RJ, get your license, get a car. 20 grand, give me 20 grand. But the number we're gonna be working with from now on is that $7,000 number, because we don't need the cost of the car factored in. So, what do I spend on my car every mile in total? Things that go into my car. That's maintenance of the car. That's Easy Pass money. We're talking insurance as well. and gas. So all of the things except for the cost of the car, everything that could go into registration even, everything that goes into the cost of the car divided by miles. So we take that 7,000 number, we divide it by the total miles in 1 year, and that leaves us with 33 cents per mile. So it almost triples the cost. 33 cents every mile. Just to kind of put that in perspective, if I were to go from Philadelphia to Ocean City, which is a very normal vacation spot for my family and I, that costs $21.70 to get there. This isn't counting there and back, this is just there. So we're looking at $42 to come, like, round trip. To New York City, it's $31, $60 round trip. To Washington, D.C., $46, $90 round trip. And if I wanted to travel to Pittsburgh, it would cost $101 one way, $202 round trip. It costs $200 to get from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh at 33 cents per mile. So I'm editing this video. I wanted to also add the way that I transported myself around before I had a car was by train of some sort. Amtrak was a big one. So if you wanted to train from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C., Amtrak sells a ticket for 42 bucks. Not less expensive by much, but it is less expensive, and it is significantly faster to transport that way. Downside is convenience. Obviously, you have to go by train schedule. You have to get to Philadelphia first, whereas you can just pull out of your driveway. But it is important to look at the cost. Here's the really interesting thing though. If you wanted to go from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, it would cost you only $55. So it is dramatically less expensive to train the further away that you get. Pittsburgh is only about 3 hours away from Philadelphia, and it is already half the cost to just take a train there. Last important thing to remember, all of these numbers are calculated based off of the total cost, yearly cost of the car. That's the 33 cents per mile. So when you're going somewhere and you're only asking your friends for gas money, that 9 cents per mile, that ends up being quite the ripoff for you because that's only about a third of the cost of the vehicle. So think about that when you put the car in drive. How can you be saving money in these different places? You could drive more efficiently. You could carpool with people. You could not pay car insurance. You have a bunch of options for how you could save money. All right, let's talk, this is something that I wanted to do for fun just because I had the numbers. How many gallons did I purchase with an assumed 35 miles per gallon at 21,188 miles? I bought about 605 gallons. Now that's an assumed 35 miles per gallon. I am not gonna know that. That's an average for the entire year. I didn't keep track of those numbers. So if I were to punch in different numbers, I would get different result, right? Let's say I was even more efficient. That means that I only bought 529 at 40 miles per gallon. Or if I was lower down to 30, that means I bought 706. Based on this same number, I can find out my average cost of gas by taking the total cost of gas that I know I spent and divide that by the gallons purchased. And so this is all based off of, again, that average mile per gallon. I think that I probably got about 35 miles per gallon on average over the last year, and that makes sense because I think 314, based on the numbers that there has been in the last year, that's probably a good average on what I spent in gas. All right, I think that we have covered all the different parts of this particular chart. Save money, keep track of your information, because now I know exactly what it takes to power my car and to own my car. I don't know who this video is for necessarily. This is all kind of stuff that's very interesting to me. If you found this interesting, let me know. I thought the charts were really interesting. I really thought that the information that I gleaned from kind of making formulas off of other information was very interesting, specifically like the cost per mile and the cost of gas per mile. Before you go, here are some cool clips that I took from the dash cam. There's some different things going on. This clip here is pretty interesting. This is in Alden on my way back from Julia's one night. Super late in the morning. You can see it's 12:55 and there's fox that are actually like playing in the road. They found some food. I have a bunch of clips of people blowing red lights. You can see there's this guy in his truck that like nearly caused an accident. Like, praise God that there was a gap there for him. And then there's this other guy. Julie and I were coming back from somewhere and like we were firmly parked at this red light and then a guy goes through the red light to the side of us. Like just, you know, blazing on through. Nothing even matters. Very pretty clip coming across the Walt Whitman Bridge. You can see Philadelphia on the right, sun setting on the left. This is a video of Julie and I driving next to each other. That's Julia's car. And there were plenty of times where people tried to merge into my hood. This is a prime example. You can see this guy just, you know, merges right on in and over. I honked at him. Anyway, thanks for watching a weird kind of video, but I did want to take some of the data that I had collected over the last year and really kind of think through what it cost to own and drive my own car and share that information with you guys, because I don't think anybody thinks like this, or at least maybe they might, but they don't actually do and collect the information for you. But anyway, thank you for watching.